welcome back to another episode of Game School. And remember, there's no school like the old school, and I'm the headmaster. The game that I want to sort of talk about today is Operation Warcade. Now, this is a game that I didn't really know a huge amount about beforehand. I never really sort of used to play this particular game, or the game this is based on, in the arcades back in the day. Wasn't really my type of game. I was really into sort of football and space, or sports and space invader style games when when I was in the arcade. So this one, I might have looked at it, might have had a play, but I wouldn't have spent too much time on this particular game. But the game itself, the premise of it is that you are just it's sort of based on these sort of games where you have a gun attached to the actual console, the arcades, and you just shoot all the little soldiers or enemies that you see on the screen. Now, it sounds pretty simple. It is pretty simple, to be fair. But the really good thing about this particular game is, well, for me, is just how much fun it is. Really, it is just that is the whole idea behind this. There's a lot of humour, a huge amount of humour actually. There's loads and loads of levels. I would say it does get slightly samey. That's probably my only complaint with it today. As in the levels, you are pretty much doing the same thing, but there is enough difference in each level to sort of keep you occupied and keep you interested. But more importantly, at no point do you just think, oh, this is another wave of enemies coming through. You are just enjoying the fact that you're just shooting and blowing up helicopters and all these other things. So the game itself, the way it's based is that there's sort of like a couple of modes to it, which is really good, and then you've got several sort of mini games inside each level. They call them immersion sort of stages, and so you can actually play the game you are standing up at the console and using the gun on the machine, or I think they call that the 3D mode, or you can just play it as a VR sort of session where you're looking from the screen view, but it's much more sort of VR based, and it's essentially just a scrolling sort of setup where you're going along at a certain pace. You don't really have much control on where you stop, start, or carry on or pause or anything like that. You just shoot at the soldiers or whatever you've been asked to sort of shoot on the rolling screen. But there are certain points of the game where maybe above a truck or on a bridge or something like that, you shoot a certain thing, and it takes you into a first-person view, where you're right down in the game in a full VR sense, which actually I think is really good. In fact, for me, these are probably the best parts of the game. They are very good, but they are a little bit too short. That's my only sort of complaint with that, and that's not really a complaint. It's just, I think, because I'd love more of it, which is really good. So there's loads of little things that you can do like that, like you get a sniper sort of gun that you can sort of use on buildings, or you get to fly a plane, or you get to sit in a helicopter and shoot from the side of the helicopter at things, or you can drive a boat, or there's loads and loads of little mini immersions in each level as well. So there's enough variety to keep you going in that side of it. But the biggest sort of factor for me is just the fact that how much fun this game is, and I really mean it. It's not serious at all. It doesn't take itself seriously. There are a plethora of guns to collect and things to do. So I mean, some really crazy, just outrageous hilarious thing is like you've got a gravity gun that you can pull things towards you, and I mean everything. So like helicopters, tanks, armoured vehicles, all the little guys, you know, the soldiers. You can pull all these towards you and then literally throw them away. It is absolutely hysterical. And one part, you know, I threw a helicopter into a tank and got, you know, an outrageous multi-kill because there was a load of soldiers around that. I must have killed about, or I must have destroyed about sort of, you know, 10 sort of characters all in one go. But like I said, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It really is just a bit of fun. Now, graphically, the game does look, you know, a little bit dated. It does look like you're playing a game from the 80s or the 90s in terms of you know, graphics. But that's the look they're going for. Whether that's lazy or whether it really is genuinely something they were trying to achieve, I'm not sure, because I think they could have done a better job with the graphics. You know, I've always got a bit of a beef about old games that look poor, because the sort of power of, you know, modern console or gaming, things like this, even old games shouldn't look particularly bad. They should all look amazing. Well, this one doesn't look amazing. It doesn't look particularly bad, but it's an area that I think that the programmers could have really, you know, sharpened up and made it look a little bit better. Because I'm playing it on a Pro, and you know, for me to be thinking, oh, I'm not quite sure about this graphically, it just, you know, just riles slightly. So it's really my biggest concern or sort of negative about the game, is the graphics. But don't let me put that, don't let that put you off getting the game, because, you know, absolutely it doesn't detract from the game. I just think they could have done a better job, that's all. But the game, like I said, is definitely worth a buy. It's worth a go. I mean, people are sort of talk about it like, you know, it's better than Bravo Team. To be honest with you, it's just different. You can't really compare them. I know it's guns and it's war and you're shooting, but the realistic, you know, it is not the same. Bravo Team is a much slicker game, I think, anyway, and it's a full sort of immersive. Well, it's a full VR game, and you know, you can't compare them. They are very, very different. But you know, that aside, I would highly recommend this game. I think it's an absolute, you know, brilliant game, but a great bit of fun. Anybody, I think, can just, you know, get into this and play this without too much explanation. It really is just. There's some really nice little touches. It's like I say, you're playing this, and the way they've done it is like you're in a virtual arcade area, and you can look around and see all the different people playing different arcades. Now at this point, obviously you can't play any of these games, which would be great. But what I did find is that you can move. There is like a move button that you can actually move around in the arcade and actually get a good closer look at the other machines and things like this. Now I don't know if that's because they're planning on bringing more arcade games to the series or anything like that. That would be really, really good. But the other thing as well, that's really, like I say, a really nice little bit of comedy with this, or a nice bit of humour, is that the further you get into the game, all the people on their machines start coming around your machine watching you play. So after each level you look around, all of a sudden there's more people watching you, you know, and there's some silly little things like you can push them over and you know, interact with them in a very sort of minimal way. But again, it's just a little touches like that make this slightly different, and you know, slightly, I wouldn't say better, but definitely the humour side of this game is, you know, I'm seeing something all the time. Even so much, you have targets that you need to, or things that you need to accomplish goals that you need to accomplish on each level to get different stars, which you know, it's really good. Like, I don't know, you know, run over 6 soldiers, you know, in a vehicle, or you know, take down 4 soldiers with 1 hand grenade or something like that. So you get these sort of goals that you need to accomplish, and some of them are just outrageous, and you look at them and go, is that right? And then it will change and go, no, only joking, and it'll give you an actual, you know, an easier one to do, which I think is brilliant. There are a few little subtle touches like this that, you know, people might miss, but look out for these. I'm sure there's way more than I've already found. So, and again, these types of things will keep me going back to sort of find out what else is in the game. So yeah, that's just my general view on this game. I would definitely, you know, say go and buy it. It's priced, I think, pretty well. It's about £15, you know, UK prices, and yeah, it's probably about right. You know, I wouldn't pay much more for it, and if you could get it cheaper, you know, on a sale or something like this, I think you'd be getting a bargain. But the game itself, priced pretty good. Graphically, it's not great. Sound wise, you know, it is what it is. You know, it's guns, people dying, you know, these sorts of things, and you know, the bullets and, you know, the bombs and all these things sound pretty good. I mean, but it's a throwback to, you know, 80s or 90s arcade style gaming, but with a modern twist on it. And I think they've done a really good game, really good effort on this. I would just like to have seen better graphics. That is my one complaint about this, which you know, I'm sure there's other people that have got a very similar similar review about it. But I would say get it, or go and at least have a look at it, and yeah, let us know what you think as well. I'm always up for a little debate on, you know, these types of games. But if you do like this review, obviously give us a thumbs up, or, you know, let us know what you think. I've got some other things coming up. I might do more. I've got some things that I'm looking in the pipeline as well that I want to sort of add to the channel. But anyway, remember, there's no school like the old school, and I'm the headmaster.